Some nights feel different. Not because of the silence, not because of the ticking clock on the wall, but because something lingers in the air, unseen, unspoken, yet undeniable. That night was one of them. The office was eerily quiet. The usual chatter and ringing phones replaced by the low hum of the air conditioner. A dim desk lamp cast long shadows across the room, making everything feel strangely unfamiliar. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, stiff and aching from hours of typing. Almost midnight, almost time to go. I sighed, stretching my sore neck. Most employees had left hours ago, but I was still here, buried under reports and emails that seemed endless. It wasn't unusual for me to work late. Dedication, they called it. But lately, it felt more like exhaustion. Something felt off that night. I couldn't explain it, but there was a tension in the air, a strange heaviness pressing down on me. My chest felt tight, my breath uneven. Maybe it was just the fatigue. Or maybe something was about to happen. Just as I was about to shut down my computer, the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps echoed down the empty hallway. My body tensed. The office was supposed to be empty. I turned toward the doorway, and there he was, my boss. He stood in the dim light, his face unreadable. Sharp suit, polished shoes, the scent of expensive cologne trailing behind him. His presence was commanding, as always. But tonight, something was different. His usual air of confidence was there, yet there was something else lurking beneath it, something heavier. "You're still here," he said, his voice calm but firm. I nodded, swallowing hard, just finishing up a report. He didn't respond right away. Instead, he stepped further into the room, his gaze locked onto mine. The way he looked at me, intensely, almost calculating, sent a shiver down my spine. There was a long pause before he finally spoke again. "I need to talk to you." His tone was different, not the usual work-related professionalism. It was something else entirely. I straightened in my chair, trying to shake the sudden unease curling in my stomach. "Is something wrong?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he exhaled, rubbing his jaw as if debating what to say next. I had never seen him hesitate before. My boss was the kind of man who made decisions quickly, without a second thought. But tonight, he looked almost conflicted. Then finally, he said something that made my entire world shift. "I have an offer for you, but it's not what you think." And in that moment, I knew. Whatever was about to happen next, it was going to change everything. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. An offer? What kind of offer? The weight in his voice, the way his gaze never wavered. It wasn't about work. This was something else. Something serious. My pulse quickened as I sat up straighter, trying to read between the lines. "I don't understand," I said cautiously. "What kind of offer?" He exhaled sharply, like he was about to step off a ledge. "I need someone I can trust," he said. "And I believe that person is you." My fingers curled against the desk. Trust? He was my boss, a man who barely let anyone into his world. He made decisions like a machine, always calculating, always precise. So why was he standing here late at night telling me he needed me? "I appreciate that," I said carefully, my voice measured. "But for what? Exactly?" Then he said something that shattered every expectation I had. "Marry me." The words crashed into me, knocking the breath from my lungs. My entire body went still. I blinked. Surely I had misheard. "I'm sorry." "What?" His expression remained unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. Nerves? No, that couldn't be right. He was the kind of man who never wavered, never second-guessed himself. Yet, for the first time since I'd known him, I saw a crack in his armor. "It's not what you think," he clarified quickly, his tone level, but firm. "It wouldn't be real. It would be an arrangement. An arrangement." The word settled uneasily in my chest. A part of me wanted to laugh, to break the unbearable tension in the room. But the look on his face told me he was completely serious. "This isn't some joke?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't joke about business." Business. That single word sent a chill through me. I swallowed, my throat dry. "Why would you ask me?" He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, a rare sign of unease. "Because I need someone who won't take advantage of the situation. Someone I can trust to keep this private. And someone who won't get emotionally involved." His words stung in a way I couldn't quite explain. Emotionally involved? Did he think I was incapable of feelings? That I was just another efficient worker he could make a deal with like a business transaction? Still, my curiosity outweighed my shock. "Why do you need a fake marriage?" He sighed, leaning against my desk, his fingers pressing into the wood, as if steadying himself. "My grandfather's will," he admitted. "There's a clause. If I don't get married within the next few months, I lose everything. My position, my shares, the company." My breath caught. His entire company was on the line. Billions. A legacy he had spent years building. "And you think marrying me will solve that?" "Yes." His answer was immediate, unwavering. My heart pounded against my ribs. I wasn't sure what shocked me more, the fact that he was asking me, or the fact that he seemed so convinced I would say yes. "There would be a contract," he continued. "Clear terms. You'd be well compensated. It would be a strictly professional arrangement." A professional marriage. The words sounded utterly ridiculous. I stared at him, searching for any sign that this was a trick, a test, anything but reality. But all I saw was certainty. "This could change your life," he said, his voice quieter now. And that was the moment I realized he wasn't wrong. But the real question was I willing to step into a lie for a life I never imagined? My heart pounded so hard it felt like it was trying to escape my chest. The air in the room felt thinner, heavier, like the walls were closing in. This wasn't just another late-night conversation with my boss. This was something far bigger, something that had the power to change my entire life. I swallowed, my throat painfully dry. "You want me to marry you? Just to save your company?" He didn't flinch. "Yes." The sheer certainty in his voice sent a chill down my spine. He wasn't second-guessing this. He had thought it through, calculated every possible outcome, and landed on me as his answer. But why? I shook my head, trying to process it. "I don't understand. You're a powerful man, incredibly wealthy. You could have anyone play this role. Why me?" He leaned against the desk, arms crossed, studying me with the same intensity he used in high-stakes meetings. "Because you're the only one I trust." His words sent an unexpected jolt through me. I wasn't sure whether to feel flattered or terrified. "You've worked for me for years," he continued, his voice even. "You've never tried to get close to me. Never flirted, never used office politics to climb the ladder. You're loyal, professional, and you know how to keep secrets." I let out a shaky breath, my mind spinning. He wasn't wrong. I had spent years keeping my head down, working hard, avoiding office gossip. But I had never imagined that those very traits would make me the perfect candidate for a fake marriage. "This is insane," I muttered, rubbing my temples. "I know," he admitted, "but it's the only way." A bitter laugh escaped me. And what happens after? We pretend to be married for a while, then what? We just fake a divorce? Yes, he said simply. A quiet, mutual separation once everything is settled. I stared at him, waiting for some sign of hesitation, some flicker of doubt. But there was none. He was serious. And the scariest part? A tiny voice in my head was whispering that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the worst idea. What exactly would I be agreeing to? I asked carefully. His jaw tightened slightly, as if he had been waiting for that question. A 1-year contract. We keep up appearances, attend events together, act like a real couple in public. Behind closed doors, we live our separate lives. You'd be well compensated. Enough to change your life. I inhaled sharply. There it was. The temptation. The thing he knew would make me consider it. He wasn't just offering me money. He was offering me freedom. A life I had never dared to dream of. No more struggling to make ends meet. No more late nights, fighting to prove my worth. Still, a cold dread curled in my stomach. And what if someone finds out the truth? His gaze darkened. No one will. His confidence was almost convincing. Almost. I hesitated, my fingers gripping the edge of my chair. Every part of me was screaming that this was reckless, dangerous. But another part, one I barely recognized, was intrigued. I had spent my whole life playing it safe, working hard, staying in my lane. And where had it gotten me? Stuck at a desk, overworked, overlooked. This was different. This was power. This was stepping into a world I had never been invited into before. He leaned in slightly, his voice low. Think about it. This isn't just about me. This could change everything for you too. And that was the moment I realized I was no longer just considering it. I was already halfway to saying yes. The moment he said, "This could change everything for you too." Something inside me shifted. For years, I had fought to prove my worth. Long hours, endless sacrifices, pushing myself beyond exhaustion just to be noticed. And yet, no matter how hard I worked, I was always just another employee, another name in the system. But now, in a single night, my boss was offering me something that could rewrite my future. But at what cost? I stood up abruptly, pacing the office. "This is insane," I muttered under my breath. He watched me carefully, silent, waiting. His patience made it worse, like he already knew I wouldn't walk away. I turned to him, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Do you even realize what you're asking me to do? To throw my life into a lie? To stand beside you, pretending to be in love, while the world watches?" His jaw tightened, his expression unreadable. I know exactly what I'm asking. Of course he did. He wasn't a man who made reckless choices. Everything he did was calculated, strategic. And now, I was just another move on his chessboard. I exhaled sharply, rubbing my temples. And what happens if I say no? For the first time, something flickered across his face. Not anger, not disappointment. Something else. Something I couldn't quite place. "Then nothing changes," he said simply. "You go back to your life, back to struggling, back to proving yourself to people who don't see your worth." His words struck a nerve, sharp and deep. It was cruel in its honesty. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Or you say yes, and you step into a world where no one questions your place. A world where doors open for you before you even knock." I swallowed hard. Power. That was what he was offering me, not love, not romance. Power, security, freedom. It was terrifying and intoxicating. I tried to picture it, attending lavish galas, standing beside him in designer gowns, living in a penthouse instead of a cramped apartment. No more worrying about bills, no more struggling to climb the corporate ladder. But then, another image crept into my mind, a life where every smile was scripted, every touch rehearsed, a life where I played the role of the perfect wife while knowing it was all built on a lie. I turned away, gripping the edge of my desk. What if people start asking questions? He didn't hesitate. We'll have a story, a believable one. And what if someone doesn't believe it? His voice hardened. Then we make them believe it. A chill ran down my spine. There it was, that ruthless determination that made him the man he was. He didn't just win battles. He erased obstacles. I exhaled slowly, my hands trembling slightly. And after a year, we just pretend it didn't happen? He nodded. A quiet, amicable divorce, no mess, no drama. Just like that. Like flipping a switch. I turned to him, searching for any sign of doubt in his expression. There was none. He had already made peace with this. He had already accepted that marriage, something most people saw as sacred, was nothing more than a contract to him. And if I said yes, that's all it would be to me too. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But instead, a single thought whispered in the back of my mind. What if this isn't just about saving his company? What if there's more to this than he's telling me? I looked up at him, my pulse racing. I need time to think. He nodded, his gaze never leaving mine. Take all the time you need. But we both knew the truth. I had already made my decision. Sleep never came that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind a battlefield of logic and temptation. Every rational part of me screamed that this was madness. A business deal disguised as a marriage. It wasn't just reckless, it was dangerous. And yet, I couldn't stop thinking about his words. This could change everything for you too. I had spent years being invisible, overworked, overlooked, struggling for a seat at the table. But this wasn't just a seat. It was the entire table. A chance to walk into a world of power, wealth, and influence. A world where my name meant something. But was it worth the price? The next morning, I arrived at work early, my stomach twisted in knots. The office was the same, buzzing with the usual energy, people moving, talking, completely unaware that my life was on the verge of something unthinkable. But I knew. And he knew. The moment I stepped into his office, he was already watching me, as if he had been waiting. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, intense, unwavering, held an unspoken question. Have you made your choice? I swallowed hard, my pulse pounding in my ears. There was no turning back now. I'll do it, I said, my voice steady. I'll marry you. A silence stretched between us, thick and charged. He didn't react at first, simply staring at me as if assessing whether I truly understood the weight of my own words. Then slowly, he nodded. Good, he said, his voice as smooth as ever. I'll have the contract drawn up. Just like that. No hesitation, no second guessing. He had known I would say yes. I should have felt regret, fear, something, anything. But instead, all I felt was a strange electric thrill. I wasn't just stepping into his world. I was choosing it. Are there any rules? I asked, crossing my arms. His lips curved slightly, the closest thing to a smile I had ever seen from him. Only one. He stepped closer, his gaze locking onto mine. Don't fall in love. A chill ran down my spine. He said it like a warning, like a threat, And yet, something in the way he looked at me, something flickering beneath his controlled demeanor, told me he wasn't just warning me. He was warning himself. I exhaled slowly, my chest tightening. That won't be a problem. Lie. The moment I said yes, I had stepped into something far more dangerous than I had imagined. This wasn't just a deal. This wasn't just a contract. This was a game, and I had no idea if I was walking into victory or disaster. Watch till the end to find out what happens next, because trust me, you won't believe what's coming.